This video is to show you how to remove and replace the valves inside an Aqualisa A2 shower in a grey housing. The internal parts of these Aqualisa Quartz A2 products are slightly different according to the colour of the outside casing. So if you've got one that has a grey outer casing but is a Quartz A2, then this is how you would replace the leaking valves inside. First of all, remove the unit from the connections because it will make life a lot easier when you're working with it on your bench. And then undo the screws in these places all around the unit, which I've already done. That enables you to lift off the cover. Inside you'll find a motor. This is the outlet for the processed water at the right temperature, and this is the hot and cold inlets for the water coming in. The bits we're going to change are inside this particular unit here. In order to get to that, we need to undo the motor brackets, which is these pieces here. There are two, one each side, and then we just lift that off, and then we undo this screw here. This is holding down the motor unit onto the casing, and then that unit is held within this bracket. It's like a circular bracket that goes around the unit. So what I'm going to do now is to first of all release all of this from the housing by lifting it up gently, and you see it comes apart here in this point here, and there is an O-ring inside here that you can replace, and then the actual top hat valve units that you're going to need to replace are inside this part here. So you need to undo these, pull these wires gently out of the brackets that hold them in position around the casing, like so, and then the other one comes apart like this, so that gives you more freedom to move the unit about. Then we undo the screw that's holding this bracket together, because it's a circular bracket that goes around the outside of the valve unit. So the mixing is actually done inside this part. So when we take those screws out, you see the bracket comes apart and then comes away from the actual valve unit. Now the valve unit is in here, and this is where the two top hat rubber valve replacements sit. And in order to get it apart, you need to just pull it apart like so. It might be stiff to come apart initially, but that's what you do to get it apart. Then all we need to do is clean this part off here to make sure that it's clean, because it rubs against these two valve inlets here, and you can see that it's got a bit of grease in there. So what we're going to do now is just pull out the top hat valve unit like so. So this is the actual rubber that we're going to replace. You can see it's got a spring in it, and inside there is a piece of metal, a metal ring. So you take that out as well and fit it in the new ones if they're not already in the new top hat valves that you're going to get. So when you reassemble it, you get your valves, you put them on the top of the spring, having put the piece of metal back in, and then just pop it back in place, and then that sits in that particular housing area. So I'll pull the other one out and just have a look at that foot as well. Here we go. So that's released that. You can see inside we've got the spring again, and inside you can see the metal ring that goes around the inside. So the new valve unit will come, we put that back in and then pop it back in place. And you can see that they both sit inside this valve unit. And then to reassemble it, all you do is line up the lugs. You'll see on here there is a lug here that lines up against the lug on the other part of the casing here. Push the two together, and now we need to put the brackets back in. The bracket with the screw retainer goes on the bottom like so, and it goes at an angle so that it butts up against that lug, holding this unit in one piece, and then the other piece goes on like so. Oops. There we go. Put the screws back in. Tighten up the screws. There we go. That's it. So we tighten it down. And then we put the wires back into these hanging bracket areas. Winds around the valve unit like so, and keeps them all neat and tidy. Then we're going to put this back in. If we replace the ring here, right, so we're going to put the unit all back together, and it slots in, as you can see. Be careful with these wires over here, don't get them trapped or cut off, because obviously that'll mess up the arrangements. And then we're going to drop this screw back into the position inside here in order to hold the valve unit down like so. There we go. So it's firmly in position. Just again tuck those wires in neatly. And now we're going to put the housing for the bracket so the brackets are all back in together. We can reassemble the whole unit again. Screw down. So that's it. The data cable goes into here, and that's the way you replace the valves on a grey A2 quartz unit.